Ching, ching, ching! Let me hear them dollar ring. Hello and namaste. Welcome to MOM Square. Money on my mind. This is Vivek, engineer by profession and investor by addiction. If you and I share the same addiction, we are on the right page. Yes, we are on the right YouTube page. And while you're on that page, do not forget to hit subscribe and the like button. Okay, today we're going to talk about PSTH once again. Yes, all my prior 3 videos have been about PSTH because I've been researching it inside out. It's a complicated deal, so it warrants need for talking about the stock and the complexity of the deal. See how I use the warrant? Yes, today we're going to talk about PSTH warrants because it's a topic I noticed that hasn't been talked about as much on YouTube or other platforms. So I decided to add some clarity to it. Now, before we talk about PSTH warrants and its structure after this deal or merger, I want to touch base on how it was originally designed, right? It was originally designed such that you would get 1 warrant for every 9 stocks you held, okay, when it was IPO'd. So within a month, then they dispersed that or distributed that. Then came the other scenario, which was very new to the SPAC world, which was after the completion of the deal, he was going to issue 2 warrants for every 9 stocks he held. Great way to make sure that you have long-term holders of the stock, right? And that part of it's still there, okay? So the conversion, so the way it was set up was the conversion rate was $23, okay? $23 was the conversion rate for the warrant. Whenever that deal happened, they would define, this is the open window for redeeming your warrants and whatnot, and then you would execute at $23. That's how it was originally stated. However, that's changed a little bit, okay? Muddies the water. There's too many things happening, so let's break it down, okay? I'm going to start by talking about what's going to happen if you currently hold warrants, okay? This is currently by what I mean by that is if you hold the warrants, the 1/9 warrants, right? Not the 2/9 warrants that's yet to be distributed. If you currently hold that, let's talk about what it's gonna do to you. Okay, few milestone dates to remember. Okay, they're talking about this definitive agreement to go in place by June of 22nd. Okay, so later this month. So this is when UMG and PSTH would sign that deal, getting the 10% share. That is an important date to remember. Then, as soon as that happens, they're talking about allowing warrant holders to redeem their warrants into PSTH stock. So right after that definitive agreement is done, you will have an opportunity to convert your regular warrants or current warrants into the PSTH common stock. Okay. At this point, though, that stock will allow you to get the same 4 things that you will be getting, which is UMG, 1 PSTH stock, the 2/9 warrants, the new warrant set of warrants, and your SPARC and the future SPARCs. That's the 5th one. So you will still be eligible to get that. Okay. Now, if you choose not to, so there's 2 ways to redeem your warrant. One is by paying that the execution rate or exchange rate, which was $23. It's yet to see, but I believe it's gonna be around $23. However, there is verbiage out there that the rate would be decided based on the last 10 days. Okay, before the warrant exchange offer starts. In the last 10 days, what's the average price of that warrant? Based on that, they're gonna determine the exchange price for your warrant. Okay, so for now, to keep things simple, let's assume it's $23. Okay, for $23 you get all of that. Okay, all of the benefits that comes with owning a PSTH stock at current state. Okay, the second way to execute your warrant is by doing a cashless exchange. Okay, wherein you're literally you don't want to put the $23, whatever it is, to get a PSTH stock. You would rather get money for your warrants, right? Obviously, you can sell it in the market, but cashless redemption, there is a table out there on page 166 of when the original IPO happened, right? And it will tell you the exchange rate for cashless redemption. So it's negligible. I would not recommend anybody to do a cashless redemption. Really, it's like throwing your money in the garbage. But if that's what suits you, if if that's the route you want to go do it, it's fine as well. Then if you don't exchange these warrants at all in either of those two methods, you still get to carry those warrants with you, which will now act as your PSTH RemainCo warrants, okay? Which I'll get back to in a minute, okay? So you follow me so far. You have your warrant exchange offer start right after your definitive agreement. Then we're gonna have the exchange periods end. I didn't think I talked about that, but it's gonna end before PSTH starts to distribute the UMG shares, okay? Which is gonna be somewhere late in the year. So for the sake of this discussion, let's say it is September, okay? Just hypothetically. So you have between so basically June 22nd is the definitive agreement. Somewhere maybe next month, July, they'll talk about warrant exchange offer start date, and end will be somewhere in September. Okay, so you got a big window there to exchange your warrants. If you choose not to exchange your warrants, they become PSTH. What's the word I'm looking for? PSTH RemainCo warrants. Okay, but obvious, right? PSTH RemainCo stock is going to be trading somewhere at $5.25 to $6 in my opinion. So it's the PSTH warrant is not going to trade at that $5 or $4, $6, whatever price it would be it's currently trading at. It's going to most likely trade at around $1.50, okay? So again, I would not recommend you to hold the PSTH warrant, okay, for the PSTH RemainCo warrant. I would rather convert them into a PSTH stock because there's so much value coming with it, okay? But not to say that the PSTH RemainCo stock is not going to be of value. Because he still has 1.5 billion of cash in that, in that holding. So I do feel, it's a 30%. We get 30% of PSTH RemainCo. So there's going to be a bigger pool with PSTH RemainCo to go and acquire somebody. So it could very well be a good deal. So the warrant might be still valuable at that point. The only thing I would not recommend to do is do the cashless exercising of warrant. Okay, that's with the current state. So hopefully that clarifies what happens to your warrant that you hold at current state. Now, let's talk about the other aspect. Okay, there's something called as redemption of tender offer. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's basically, think about it as you are bailing out. You put your money in PSTH stock thinking it would be Bloomberg or whatever Stripe it was, right? And you thought, you see this UMG, you're turned off, you're like, nope, I'm not happy with this deal, I want to get my money back, okay? So when it was IPO'd, you bought the stock, you automatically, that's the nature of how these SPACs are designed. If you don't like the deal, you can basically redeem, you can redeem your SPAC, or they call it de-SPACing too, I guess. So PSTH is going to allow the redemption of tender offer, I believe right after the definitive agreement, but before the warrant exchange offer, if that makes sense, okay? So what they're gonna, basically it says, shortly after execution of definitive agreement, which is July 22nd, PSTH will use their redemption rights by tendering for its share at a price of $20 per share. So you get $20 because that's what, that's the IPO price. Even if you bought in at a higher price, you lose money there. So I don't know how many people really end up doing that unless it was a horrible, horrible deal, which this is not. So I would not suggest doing that either. Like, don't redeem the tenders. Okay, now that you know the 3 milestone dates, the definitive agreement date, the warrant exchange offer date, and your PSTH redemption of tender offer date, I want to talk about the distribution of the new warrants, okay? This is huge, right? We get 2 warrants for every 9 stocks we own. We're still going to get it. Then the question is, when are we going to get it, okay? They say it will be done after the warrant exchange offer, and and the redemption tender offer. So when it starts, okay, so your warrant exchange offer starts and your PSTH redemption tender offer starts. Actually, it is, I believe, yeah, it's correct. So they will start the distribution after the redemption tender offer. So they're obviously going to let you redeem first, right? If you want to bail out, that is. And then they're going to start issuing the new warrants, okay? The new warrants will be still within this whole warrant exchange offer period, okay? So that's a good thing. So you can take your new 2 warrants and convert them into stock. Sorry about that. That's my notepad. Actually, I lost my train of thought there. Okay, so we will get the warrants before the warrant exchange offer expires, okay, ends. Let's say that September date we talked about, which means you can still convert those warrants into stock, which I do plan on doing, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned in the previous videos, I own a decent amount of shares in this. To be precise, it's 3650 shares of PSTH that I own. So huge share of my portfolio is in PSTH, which explains why I'm doing the research. And I enjoy growing my money with everybody else in the fam. So that's why the research and that's why these videos, okay? So that's when we get our 2x9 warrants. We can convert it the same way as I described. So the rest of the content with regards to how to convert and the timeline, you can convert it into a PSTH stock, or if you choose not to convert it and redeem it for cash, you can do that, or they call it, cashless redemption. So you don't have to pay cash, you redeem it to a stock, but at a very lower rate, which I wouldn't want to do again. Or you can hold on to it and it becomes a PSTH RemainCo warrant, okay? So those scenarios are still the same, okay? So you hopefully get a good idea of those 2 aspects. That's about the warrants. I also wanted to take the opportunity to talk about SPARCs, okay? This is a very new concept for a lot of us, okay? We have heard SPACs. It was new to me last year. I researched it mid or early last year and started doing a lot of SPAC trading. In fact, a lot of my portfolio was SPACs. Made decent money on it doing that. Lost some too in the process. But now, back into doing some SPACs, only playing with less risky stocks, CCIV, PSTH mostly, okay? Okay, let's talk about SPARCs, Special Purpose Rights Company. Unlike SPACs, this one is where you don't have to pay any money up front, okay? This is giving you rights to own that SPAR down the line, okay? So the benefits is, first of all, there's no warrants with these SPARs. It's just a right to buy a common stock. It's not issuing any warrants at that point. There's no upfront cost to us, like I mentioned. The benefit for Bill and his team is that there is no 2-year window like that of SPACs. So I think there's a 5-year window on this, 5 to 10-year window, and they obviously can extend it. You don't get to vote on a deal when it comes to SPARCs. So why so, right? I mean, it's like, first, you're not putting any money into it. So it's only fair that you don't have a say into who he goes and, acquires. So how it works is SPARCs, 100% of the funding is being done by PSTH, okay? What I mean by that is it would be Bill and his affiliates, okay? They will do 100% funding. They'll use that money to go and seek for opportunities to acquire XYZ company. Once they do that, they will, once there's a definitive agreement, they will announce it to us, and we get to exercise our right to, redeem our right or exercise our right to get the common stock for that SPAR company, okay? So the ratio there is we get 1 SPAR for 1 PSTH stock we own, okay? So when do we get this, right? I mean, do I have to wait for 5 years till the deal is done? No, thankfully not. The SPARCs will be assigned to us at that 1:1 ratio right after the redemption tender offer is completed and the warrant exchange offer is completed, okay? So let's say by end of this year, we should have access to those SPARCs. Now you can sell those SPRCs too. I'm guessing it's going to work more like warrants for us at interim. Okay, it's going to have some value, of course. Yeah, I believe it's going to be valued at $5. You know, I strongly believe that. Just like your warrant when PSTH started, it was trading at that price range. Now, those of you who haven't seen my previous videos, the SPARC itself is going to be a 5.6 billion. It's going to raise that much money. Okay, raise in the sense they will be putting that money in, then we put our money back into it, right, by converting our SPR rights into a common stock. Besides that 5.6 billion, there will also be like SPARC sponsors, or they call it affiliates, that could buy into more of these common stocks or more of that deal. So if they see, hey, so-and-so Bill did so-and-so deal with whoever it is, Bloomberg, whoever, right? Stripe, hopefully. If he's doing that kind of deal, these kind of affiliates and investors might come in and say, hey, I want to dips at it too. So outside of the 5.6 billion, it could raise anywhere from 1.6 to 5 billions. So the SPRC itself is going to be a $10.6 billion pool that he's going to go and acquire. So put in perspective, it could be $100 billion company that he could be going after, which in the grand scheme of things sounds exciting. Okay, that's what makes me enjoy or hyped about this PSTH deal, because of that SPRC factor. Now, I do want to mention that this SPARC is not formed yet. It's not registered with SEC yet. Okay, what does that mean? They are gonna submit, or they are gonna start the registration process ASAP. Okay. However, this whole SPARC side of the deal is still TBD. Very important for us to know. It's still up in the air. Until the point that SEC approves it. If SEC approves this whole structure of the SPARC, then we get everything we just talked about. Okay, the rights to buy. Think about we become pipe investors in that case. Okay, if they deny, then we don't. Simple. Okay, so then that's one aspect of it we lose. I think this is what sweetens the pot, for say, on this whole merger. So hopefully that gives you clarity on the situation with warrants, the situation with new warrants that's going to be distributed, and the SPRCs. If it did help you, once again, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button, and do click on that bell icon as well. That way, whenever I post new videos, you keep getting updates. Okay? Now, all this said, guys, please do remember, I'm not an investment advisor by any means. I'm an individual investor. I invest in stocks and real estate, and I've done this successfully for myself, okay? Not playing with anybody's money, and I wouldn't ever intend to do that. I only make recommendations when I am hyped about a stock and I believe in the fundamentals, and I believe in the person behind it, in this case, Bill, okay? In PSTH, we believe, and hopefully see you soon with the next video. Adios.